102.7 Kiss FM. Pray for me. It's the weekend, and Kendrick Lamar. Our prayers were answered in the form of the gold medal that Shaun White has brought into the studio with him right now.
All right.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I feel like I just was watching you crying on television after this big win. It seemed like yesterday.
Yeah, it's a trip. You know, it's like it just happened a moment ago, and then I'll see the highlights. And we've been doing a lot of press and media around, obviously, the big win. But every time they pull up this video where my mom is bawling, and she shows up, and I'm just fighting back the tears in studio every time. You know, it's such an emotional win.
What was the exchange the two of you had in that moment that we've now seen on video for so many times?
You know, honestly, she was just so happy for me. She knew how badly I'd wanted this. And, you know, the close people around me know how devastated I was after Sochi. You know, and I play it off in the media, these things, but as a competitor, it's like your reputation's on the line. You have these expectations and years of training, and it didn't go to plan. And it was just so frustrating, and I had to figure out why. And it wasn't a physical aspect. You know, I had the tricks to win. It was a mental game. I think I was defeated before I got there. I just kind of like, you know, to win and then to win again and to be expected to win after winning. It's like, where do you find that same drive? And I just didn't have it. And so I had to really dig deep, find that motivation again. And, you know, the family was there to support me and help me through that. And then I'm on my path to, like, you know, what in my mind, winning this Olympics, and boom, I'm hit with this crazy injury in New Zealand, 62 stitches.
I mean,
in my
bro,
face,
your face, like, I can't even imagine how that felt.
It was such a surprise, and there was so much blood, and it was such a crazy thing. I'm having the best day ever. It's sunny. They're playing like classic rock at the half pipe. I'm like, this is the best day, and then boom, I'm in a helicopter flying to the to the hospital to be, you know, stitched back up, and so it took that sort of injury to question, like, man, am I on the right path, and what does this mean, and how do we proceed, and how badly do I really want this? And so to come back from that injury, I had to go and do that same trick that put me in the hospital during the Olympics in order to win. So it was like this emotional thing, and just to see the family and friends at the bottom, and they knew what I went through. It was a rough comeback. When
you're on your way up before the run, are you in your head about that kind of stuff? What are you doing on the way up?
Well, it was pretty intense because there was a Japanese rider that took a bad crash.
Yeah.
And luckily I didn't see that. You know,
is that what it psyched you up a little bit?
Well, you know, it just puts a damper on the mood. You're like, okay. Like, I remember seeing a guy get injured on the same trick that I just had to do.
Yeah.
You know, right after
of
him.
course.
So I'm sitting there going, okay, great. Like,
yeah.
Let's brush that off. I'm a different person. I'm a different rider. I can do this. And so, you know, we actually don't sit and watch the competition. I like to take the chairlift, and I just take laps until they're like, oh, hey, it's your turn.
Oh, so you don't know what run was prior or what happened?
Not really. I only see like the 2 or 3 guys before me.
When you're up in the queue.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just sitting there stressing like, oh, well, he did a pretty good run, and oh my God, he did a great run. And like, what
how am I going to beat that?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Just pacing at the top. So I take these like hot laps around the mountain, and then I just show up, they wax my board, and
you go.
Yeah.
Shaun White is on with us right now, back from the Olympics. By the way, Shaun, the most ever for a snowboarder, 3 Olympic gold medals, the most ever, 3 different games. So do you have a mantra or something you say to yourself right before you launch?
Honestly, I sit there and kind of go, who cares?
Right?
Honestly,
just like go.
Honestly, it's like one of those things that, like, you could build it up so much in your mind, but in the end of the day, like, I say that to myself, but it's more of like a heck with it. Like, just go and let this happen, because I've been doing this my whole life. I went pro at 13. I've been a competitive snowboarder since I was 7 years old. You know, I've won Olympics before. I know the run. I know what I have to do. If I overanalyze it, that's what's going to prevent me from winning the medal. And so I remember being at the top, 3rd run, and I love this position just because it's, I don't know, the pressure's on, and I always sort of rise to the occasion. And I used all that, you know, intense pressure to like get through that run. So that run, I had never actually done that combination before, and that trick that had once put me in the hospital. So I don't know, I'm standing at the top, and you think like, it's the Olympics. This is what we've been building up to, and it's now or never, and no matter what, I'm throwing this trick. So it takes away that seed of doubt in your mind. You know, any other day, if you brought me to that same half pipe and it was cloudy like that, I would be in the lodge. there's no way I'd be up there riding. But
Right.
it's now or never. You got to do
gotta
it.
do it.
And it really helped me to achieve that goal. And that's such a amazing thing about competition is it brings us out of you.
And listen to this.
Shaun White, one more hit. Will it be enough?
I love this every time.
12, perfect. That is the run that he needed, and he put it down.
Oh my gosh, I love it. We'll be right back with Shaun. Hang on one sec. It's Halsey on Kiss FM, LA's #1 hit music station. Shaun White is here, back from the Olympics. Feel good to be home?
Oh, it's amazing. The jet lag's been crazy, but I'm so happy to be back.
And you know, just going back for a second, you were talking about when you had that awful spill, and you the blood, the face,
Yeah.
so damaged, and however many stitches.
Mm-hmm.
Does your mom call you and go, Shaun,
You know?
do we have to keep playing with fire?
Oh yeah, I mean, because they only hear what happened, you know, and I was foolish enough to send her a photograph.
Oh, never,
Oh.
dude.
So-
She panicked.
So dumb.
Yeah.
I send her the photo, and you know, at this point, I'm pretty sedated, you know,
Yeah.
dealing with the pain and everything and the surgery, and so I send her a photo, and she's like, we're gonna move to New Zealand. It's gonna be fine. Your dad and I are like, she's like ready to pack
Amazing.
up
Yeah.
the family
Yeah.
and move to New Zealand to like be with me, you know, and it was just so heavy. But honestly, yeah, it was that kind of soul searching moment of like, do I really want to do this? You know, my friends, family, people like that. You know, my mom especially. Like, you've won medals. You're fortunate enough to have a very comfortable lifestyle because of snowboarding. You know, you're well off these things. Like, do you really need this medal? Does it mean that much to you? And honestly, those are the questions I had to ask myself. And I set out to do this goal and accomplish this feat. And I was just convinced I could do it. And that was the will to push on.
This is really interesting. Luke is inspired by this conversation. Now, Luke is listening. He's in NorCal, and he's 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a question for you also. Luke, you're trying to get over an injury, bro?
Yeah, well, I'm past the injury. I just kind of got out of it. I broke my wrist.
Snowboarding?
No, skateboarding.
Skateboarding. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So go ahead. You're on with Shaun.
All right. Hey, Shaun.
Hey,
Hey.
sorry to hear
Yeah,
about the
so
crash,
I have
man.
a question for you.
Yeah.
So I broke my wrist skateboarding, and I was wondering on some advice I should tell my mom so maybe she changes her mind so she won't let me skate anymore.
Oh, you called the right
no.
guy.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right, this is
Oh, I
good
love
good
it.
good guy to call here. I know to talk to moms. Honestly, you know, were you wearing gear? Were you wearing a helmet, pads, those things? I mean, that's always
I was wearing a helmet, but
so there you go. I mean, I don't know. I remember when I was younger, I would get these injuries, and I was always kind of telling my mom, like, well, you know what? This is what happened, what went wrong, and this is why it's going to be different this time, you know. And you
Yeah.
learn from your mistakes. You know, when I injured myself, I'm like, well, I'm never doing that again. I learned, you know, in a harsh way to learn, but I learned from it, and I had to move on. So I think if you take it slowly and just slowly get back into it, maybe don't try the same trick that injured yourself and warm her up to that scenario. You know, I think she'll understand. But persistence. If it's something you
Hopefully.
truly want to do, you know, stick to it.
Yeah.
She'll understand.
Yeah, and you know, to pick up on what Shaun says about persistence, just nag your mom to death so that the only response she has is okay, okay, okay.
exactly.
Or just leave the skateboard out in
Yeah,
the way. And be like, well, it wouldn't be in the way if it was
If
under
I was
my feet,
using it,
If
yeah.
I was using it.
Hey, Luke, you take care. Good luck, brother. All right.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
pal.
you.
Oh,
See you,
Safe.
man.
So
Be safe,
sweet.
bud.
Hey, Aaron Style, it's back this Saturday and Sunday at Expo Park. It is. How do you describe it, Shaun?
You know, honestly, it's like a Coachella meets X Games type event. You know, we have this huge music lineup with Gucci Mane, Fantagram, Phoenix. You know, this huge music lineup, and then it's a giant lineup of snowboarders. You know, some of the world's best. Some actually Olympic medalists that are coming through. And this year, especially, we went even bigger with the sporting components, and we're adding a gigantic skate park.
Oh,
And
nice.
so we're gonna host a big skateboarding competition. So it's you know, honestly, it's like the sports, but it's a lifestyle behind the sports with the music and all these things. And it's fun for like all sorts of ages. You know, we have learn to ride areas, so people in LA that have never even seen snow before can see what's happening, what the pros are doing, get inspired, try it themselves. It's really fun all around.
Yeah, there's a 16-story snow ramp in the middle of Los Angeles, which is not what you see on a regular.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You know, honestly, this year we switched it up and we're doing, you know, we'd been doing that giant ramp for the past couple years. This is our 4th year doing the event, so I'm actually very excited to see what people think of this. We're bringing everybody in even closer because when the ramp's up, it's so far away. You see the guys flying through the air, but this is like you can taste the snow. You're like right in the scene. So,
that's cool.
And it's such a different experience to actually see the snowboarding in person rather than on TV. You know, you can just see what they're going through, how fast they're going, how big they're going. It's really impressive.
Well, check it out. By the way, Air and Style is Saturday and Sunday Expo Park. Tickets available now at airandstyle.com. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for bringing back the gold again.
All right.
Great to see you, Shaun White.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.